Yes, sir. The legislative committee met, and I do know these went out. The packets went out in time for the cabs and others to respond, with one exception. And I have to apologize for that. I'd provided the concept to Kim, but not the exact language for the non-department proposal for the Heritage Fund. And because of that, there were several people who told me that, look, I could probably go along with the language change that you proposed, but I couldn't go along with the concept that we were set out. So we'll discuss that after we get to the departmental suggestions and that, which were vetted, over a fair period of time, because we looked at their proposals for the legislative session. And our whole idea was that we do not want to get into the same sort of situation that we had last legislative session, in which many people didn't know what the department's program was, and there was a lot of back and forth and hard feelings over it. So our idea this time was to develop a program that the department, that the sportsmen could all go along with, relative to department suggestions. So those are the first ones we have, and I would, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, like to have Rob, because the first conceptual, or the first ideas are with regard to law enforcement. And so we'll go through those first. By the way, I think there's about 14 total, but only some of which are yours.
Good morning. For the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. How would you like me to go through these conceptually, or just kind of?
I think just kind of explain the reason why. If they have any questions, these have actually been out, I think, to people,
right,
so they can comment on them. But if you kind of outline the general reason for it, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, we just referred to these 1 through 7, basically. So BDR idea number 1, child firearm, is what that one was labeled. What the issue there is, right now under current statute, if a game warden is out in the duck marsh, for an example, and a 14-year-old has an unplugged shotgun, that is a firearms violation, and pursuant to NRS 62C.060, we do not have discretion. We must arrest that child. We don't think that's appropriate. That law was designed for the gangs and gang shootings. So I've been talked to some of the folks in the Sheriff's Police Chiefs Association, and there is an appetite to change this. It just requires 3 additional words in there, which are, if a peace officer or probation officer has probable cause to believe that a child is committing or has committed an unlawful act, we will add against another person that involves the possession, use, or threatened use of a firearm, the officer shall take the child into custody. So it has to be against another person.
Okay. Second one. What I intend to do is go through all of these, and then we'll get comment from the audience on, so keep notes if you want to make comments on all of them, so we can go through them in a timely fashion.
The second BDR idea, juvenile poaching penalties. Normal procedure for on the more substantive crimes is juvenile probation. The juvenile authorities, the juvenile systems, courts would like some guidelines. There are none with regards to a violation of NRS 501-376, which is the unlawful poaching of a big game animal. So this NRS would just, proposed NRS would just outline some of those penalties. And obviously the court has leeway to go one way or the other, but it does outline them for the courts. BDR idea number 3, invasive species. That came about, everybody is very familiar with Lake Davis over in California and the, amazing amount of money that's spent on eradicating pike, the public relations nightmare, the first go around and so forth. We have pike in Cummings Reservoir south of Ely that were planted there by humans. So this would, and we too are looking at spending, quite a bit of money, not to the extent of Lake Davis, to eradicate and bring that body of water back to the state we would like it in. So basically this allows for criminal fines, making it a felony, category E felony, to plant or introduce injurious aquatic wildlife. And there's 3 species that we're looking at right now: northern pike, snakehead, and piranha. Fisheries folks are contemplating a few other species, such as I believe they're called the Asian carp, the ones that you hear about in the Mississippi that jump into boats and knock people out when they're cruising down the river in their boat.
Silver carp.
Silver carp. So that's this one, and it provides for up to a $250,000 civil penalty.
Who the heck would keep a snakehead as a pet and then release it?
Well, that's probably they decide it's not a good pet, so they'll release it. Kind of like the piranhas,
Yeah.
Every time I stick my finger in the tank, not a good thing. BDR idea number 4 is raise the misdemeanor fine commensurate with other misdemeanors. Currently, all misdemeanors in the state of Nevada, with the exception of fish and game, are $1,000. We currently have a $500 maximum. This was an oversight back when they converted it, elevated it from 500 to 1,000. So we're just proposing we make it commensurate with all other misdemeanors. BDR number 5 is the interstate compact. What that is, currently we have there are 2 interstate compacts basically. One for interstate waters, Lake Tahoe, Topaz, with the state of California. The other with the Colorado River system with Arizona. Those compacts allow enforcement officers to function in the other state within a specified distance. We are proposing another compact with the state of California for our game wardens that patrol the state line. Northern Washoe, those that are familiar with that. The several roads weave in and out of the state line into California, back into Nevada. If Nevada game warden is out patrolling, happens to be on the California side on the road, and around the corner comes the poacher, that gives the Nevada game warden the authority to enforce that Nevada law that poacher broke while in the state of Nevada. The 6th idea, BDR idea, is what we refer to as a State Lacey Act. That basically makes it unlawful for a person to import, export, transport, sell, receive, acquire, purchase, or possess any wildlife that is taken, possessed, or sold in violation of any law or regulation of the United States, another state or territory, an Indian tribe, or foreign country. So that really provides for a more global approach to combat poaching. There are many states that have this provision already. So for example, if an individual poached an elk in Idaho, brought it to Nevada, we would have authority right then and there to seize that elk, turn it over to the Idaho authorities for them to prosecute. And there's many states that do that for us right now because they have this provision. And BDR idea number 7 is just a simplification of a boating law. Right now, if you're involved in a boating accident, there's over $500 worth of damage, which nowadays is virtually nothing. An accident report must be done, and we're required to investigate it and all that good stuff. Federal law minimum is $2,000. So we're proposing we boost our state $500 requirement up to $2,000, commensurate with federal law. That would free up a lot of accident investigative time that we are required to do. And a person would still have the ability to fill out the accident report form and so forth for insurance purposes if they wished. So glad to entertain any questions.
Commissioner Capurro,
Yes.
we have a time problem here, and we might, if we might take a motion to change the agenda, and we have some sheep people want to talk about that, and go back to and change the agenda, and then come back to this if we can get a motion to do that.
That's fine with me.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Rain?
I think that would require suspending the rules, and I think there are several people here that wanted to just talk about, and I know there's a lot of passion going on about the sheep thing. If we could, so I guess the motion would be to suspend the rules in order to go immediately back to the items 12 and 13. So I would move that. And then we continue on with
Continue on with
then
it.
continue on with 9 afterwards. Keep up the motion
We got a second. Is there a second to the motion?
spirit of what the discussion we were just in.
Daryl, I think.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Then we have a motion to suspend the rules and go back and follow up because of the time consideration and get 12 and go back to 12 and 13 and then come back to
Right where we were.
9. And because we got the sheep people and Mike, but we got to take a vote on it before we can come back to you, Mike.
Yeah, it requires a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend the rules and go back to item 12 and 13 and continue the sheep discussion. And with Mike, does everyone understand the motion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All for the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. So let's go